Okay, we're doing an oral history with Ila Stine. And Ila, why don't you tell us your relationship to the Kent family?
Okay, Leo Beets was my uncle.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm
Oh, I'm
fine.
sorry. I thought you were.
No, don't worry about me.
Okay. My grandmother, I used to come visit all the time, that lived at 1018 North Manaway Street. And as children, well, babies, as old as I can remember, I've always come to Kent and spent vacations and weekends. And my grandmother and two aunts, Helene and Catherine, lived at the house. So I was very close. And Leo used to stop, well, maybe not daily, but almost daily, to visit his mother. And nobody drove of the three of them, so he would always stop, and if they needed something from the store, he would bring it.
What were all the family members' names? Maybe you could go through Grandma and Granddad and with the children.
Okay, Lily Beets was the mother, Carl Beets was the father, and then the children were 6 children. The oldest, Leo, Hugo, there was Marie, Carl, and Catherine, and then Helene, in order of their ages. Well, I don't know what else.
You knew them all,
Yes, very, very well. Right.
and you would visit. I mean, what was the family relationship like?
Very close. And since my two aunts didn't drive, that we did a lot of walking. They would walk to town and bring groceries home, and if they needed, they would go to Akron on a bus to go to O'Neill's or Polsky's to shop. So without a car, they got around just fine because everything was within a mile or so, walking distance. And Leo was always very attentive to the family. He was very close, and everybody looked up to Leo. I remember as a little girl, we would, at Christmas time, he was, I think, the first person, or very few people, decorated their houses with lights outside. And he lived in Twin Lakes, and he outlined his entire house, and it was a really neat house to outline because it had different peaks on it. And they were all blue lights, and that was the biggest special thing to do at Christmas time, was to Leo would take us to his house to see the lights. And I had to have been pretty small then.
Did you go to the post office when he...
Yes, we used to walk to town and go to the post office. And I remember going in what is the old post office now, and his office was to the left as you walked in the door, and you'd go in and he would receive you. It didn't matter what he was doing. He treated you like there was not a thing in the world more important. And he was just so kind and considerate.
He ran the dry cleaning at the same time as he was postmaster?
Right, he did.
How long
So-
did the business go, was the business still in operation, as you remembered?
Oh yes, I remember when I used to visit there, yeah. They would be coming to the back, the dry cleaning plant was in the back of the house at 1018 North Manaway. And, oh yes, that was there most of the time that as I was growing up.
And they had a large staff of people that worked there?
Quite a few people, yes.
They
Yes.
built that building? Leo had that dry cleaning building constructed, or?
I believe so, but I'm not positive.
And then
They moved there, my Aunt Helene was only like a year and a half old when they moved there, so the family lived there over 90 years at 1018 North Manaway.
Mm.
And
and the actual where you would drop the clothes off was down here on...
downtown, on Water Street.
Did you go there?
Oh yes, we'd stop there and just a little office with the secretary in it. And yeah, he would leave the post office at night, and then he'd go over and check on the dry cleaners. And very, very dedicated person. He was. The family was very proud of him, and I can remember sitting on the front porch every, let's see, Memorial Day, they had a parade, and I don't know if you still have the Memorial Day parade,
Yes.
do you?
Yes.
Goes right by.
Yeah, we would all gather on the front porch, and everybody was so proud because Leo would come down the street marching because he was a World War I veteran, and he would be marching with the veterans, and that was always an exciting time.
We think we have some footage of Leo out at Brady Lake Park. Did you remember going to Brady Lake Amusement Park when you were young?
Yeah, very, very little though. Yeah.
Because it looked like they had some of the activities from the Legion activities out there.
Okay.
And then it's Standing Rock, of course.
Right. Right. My Uncle Hugo lived at Brady Lake for a time and then moved to Ravenna.
I think that was in one of the letters about him living on Brady Lake.
Yes,
Mhm,
in the
he
film
did.
that we have, it's a very quick shot of a very thin guy in kind of a uniform, like the head of a marching band, and it says, Leo Beats entertains the crowd,
Oh.
very quickly. And I've never been able to see his face
Well, you
in
can
it
see-
to know whether it's really him. It was
Well-
taken by Roscoe Hahn, shot the film.
And my Uncle Hugo did play an instrument.
Oh.
But it wouldn't have said Leo
No,
then.
no. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So, are there any, your grandfather, so your grandmother was living in the building with, when you used to go to visit, was it your
Right.
grandmother and your aunt?
My grandmother and my two aunts, Helene and Catherine. My grandfather passed away about a year before I was born, so I didn't know my grandfather. But yes, I would come and Grandma would make pies, and my aunts would always take me shopping. And there was a little store right across the street on Manaway Street that we would go across the street and buy popsicles or something like that.
Grocery store.
Yeah, just a little grocery store.
Right.
And that was a help for little incidentals when you forgot something from town when you didn't drive.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so
Were there any other, tell us a little about Hugo. He was an artist, so he was kind of a personality in the community.
right. He was an artist, and he did many paintings. And he would go in the winter. He would go to Mexico and did a lot of his painting in Mexico. But he had a store in Ravenna on Prospect Street that he painted, and also had a paint store that he sold paint.
Oh,
Regular house paint.
Right,
Yes.
right. Yes, it was
was it, it wasn't called Beats though, was it?
no.
Yeah, we'll
I
have to go
can't-
look.
Yeah, I'm sure it's in some of the literature, but I can't remember. I should.
And your mother was a school teacher in the early years.
Right. My mother was Marie Beats. Yes, and she was a school teacher. And then later, after I was born, she sold Stanley Home Products for many, many years until she finally retired. And she passed away in 1977.
Did she attend Kent Normal to become
Yes,
a
she
teacher?
did. Yes, she did.
She
She
must
went to
have been
Kent.
very early.
Right. Yes.
Did she ever talk about her time at Kent?
Not too much, because I think it was common to her because she was born and raised in Kent, and she just, didn't say much about it, but yes, she did go there.
Because it was unusual for a woman
To
even,
go to
be.
college.
Yeah, and what did she teach?
Well, she at one point taught in a one-room schoolhouse and taught all grades, at the one-room schoolhouse that she used to talk about. But she didn't teach really long after she got married.
No, it was not common then. Sometimes illegal, actually.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
And your other aunt, Helene, was a dancing teacher in Kent.
yes.
Did you go
For
to
many
the,
years.
Did you?
Oh, yes, I used to. In fact, I took some lessons from her. Only living an hour away, I didn't get to take regular, but when I'd come up, she would teach me. And usually teach me a routine for her dance recital. I was in several dance recitals up at the Kent State University. She used to have her recitals.
And in New York.
Oh yes, she used to take me to New York. A few summers we went to New York. She would study in New York with a friend, Lucille Stoddard, Dance Congress. And I went with her 2 or 3 summers to New York City. And
Where did she learn to dance?
well, that's a good question.
I don't remember that.
I don't know because she went to college here at Kent also.
Oh.
And I don't know. I know she took dancing lessons as a child, and all through growing up. But I really don't know where she studied.
What kind of dancing did she teach?
Just about everything.
Ballroom
Tap,
dancing?
ballet, ballroom.
Oh.
Right.
Where was her studio?
Well, she had several different studios. She had a studio in Kent, and she taught at different places for. Let's see, and she also taught, I want to say Streetsboro, but I'm not sure that was it. And Ravenna, she would go by bus to Ravenna to teach, and she would walk to town. One, I think, of the studios was at St. Pat's Church, but there was a lodge downtown that burned that she was in that building at one time, and I can't remember the lodge name. But numerous places in Kent and a few outlying surrounding areas that she taught in.
So she was self-supporting. I mean, she made enough of a living out of this?
Oh yes, yeah. Yeah, she taught full time and retired when she was 75 years old. She was teaching up until then.
Wow.
And Catherine,
Very
her,
good.
her sister, what did Catherine do?
Catherine was a school teacher, and she taught in Akron, and she used to get a ride with another teacher that lived in this area that went to Akron. Otherwise, she would have to take the bus. She taught home economics, sewing and cooking, both.
And they lived together in the home.
Right, right.
And then when Catherine passed away, Helene just...
Was there by herself for many years and lived in a large 2-story home all by herself up until she passed away. The last almost a year, my brother and his wife stayed there to help her, but she was in that house all alone most of the years. She was almost 93 when she passed away. Just missed her 93rd birthday.
What were your grandparents first generation American, or had they been here? Because that's a
Yes, they
very
were.
wonderful background for their children to
Right.
be so educated.
Yes, they were here.
They were not educated necessarily, but they...
No, I don't think so. I don't know my grandfather where he learned tailoring, if it was self-taught or where he learned it, but he did tailoring. My grandmother was just a homemaker.
And then they went in, and then Leo started the dry cleaning business because he had been a tailor. Oh, I see. Okay, so the tailoring and the dry cleaning makes sense.
Kind of went together, right.
Was dry cleaning new at the time that they did it? Was it just, did he see it as an opportunity for a ground floor kind of business?
Well, I think so. It was the only one in town that I know of, and I just think he saw it was a necessary thing and an opportunity to start. I'm not sure where he got his idea. I was only 18 when Leo passed away, so a lot of the earlier thoughts I really don't know.
Right.
You wondered. I don't even know the history of dry cleaning, but it would seem like that was a very early, interesting
I'm sure it
group
was.
of chemicals they must have been using.
Right. Yeah, the big presses they had for ironing things, and I wouldn't think there would have been a huge amount of people having dry cleaning done. I wouldn't think they could even have afforded it, but evidently there was enough, maybe business people and things that they made a living at it for many years.
That's a good point. You wouldn't. You would. We have no idea what the cost was at that time. We'll have to
No.
go back and see if we can find some ads or something, because
Right.
you would think that's expensive. But he makes points of talking about how they're making more money So it must have been good.
Right, yeah.
You don't have the books that they kept of the business.
No, I don't. I don't even know what happened to them. I don't even remember seeing them.
Well,
Yeah, it's
there
just
was a
too bad.
lot in that back room that could have been, who knows?
Yeah, when we were at the sale, they could have been sitting there.
They could have, but I thought I went through everything that was there
Yeah,
before
I've
it went
never
out
seen
there. I
anything like that.
thought so, but it could have been.
You know.
90 years is a lot of,
It was a lot of accumulation. Yes, it was. Interesting, and yet at the same time it was difficult to sort through it all.
that's it?
Yeah,
Excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome.
yeah,
I just can't tell you how much the book has meant to me, though.
good.
I sit on the couch and curl up with the book, and it just made me feel like my family was all back with me again.
Yeah.
I just,
Did you read them? Had you ever read them?
I had read some of them. I never read all of them.
They would be very difficult and time consuming to read in the original handwriting,
Right.
as it was for us. But in a book form like that, it's much
Yeah.
easier.
Oh, yes. But yet it was nice to see the few in their handwriting also.
Right.
But, yeah, just, and knowing almost everybody that had written, a few of his friends I didn't know, but all the family, and you could just see from that how attentive he was to the family and how much he cared for them, because he just didn't talk about himself in the letters as much as he did worrying about whether they were getting enough rest or whether things were going all right at home. He was always concerned about the family.
Very concerned whether Marie was getting enough. Was she taking some time off?
Right. Even his parents, he would
Were his
mention
parents
about.
you take some time off? You're
Right.
right. Now,
Right.
Leo didn't go to college, correct? Hugo went to art school, but Leo, I
don't remember him going to college.
I think it looks like he started this business and was very much the businessman, and he was very active. We have his picture in the Chamber of the Rotary picture. He was
Yes,
very
he
active.
was active in Rotary, yes.
We don't have any other pictures with any of the churches or anything that seems to be in there, but we do have him standing with all the gentlemen in the Rotary.
Mm-hmm. Hugo was also active in Rotary. as I
In
remember.
Ravenna.
Right, only in Ravenna, right. Yes.
Very
So,
Yeah. We couldn't locate his picture at the post office. They don't have pictures of the postmasters in the post office. We tried there. They don't
Oh.
have past postmasters.
We thought, because his appointment, well, now that I'm thinking about it, his appointment came, that post office was opened in
1935.
35, I think. And he was very friendly with Martin Davy, and guess who was the governor then?
that's who.
Martin Davy.
Mhm.
So his appointment may have come through that. But he was 20 years.
Right. He was there a long time. Something I was going to say, I don't remember.
What qualifies someone to be a postmaster?
I don't know.
He seems like he was very
But he was-
meticulous, a good,
And very dedicated. Whatever he did, he was very, very serious and dedicated about it. And,
he wasn't he was in the American Legion, he was the head of the American Legion, but we don't have any other
For
indication.
1 year.
For 1 year, but I don't have any
he-
indication that he was political in any other way,
I don't think so.
or
No.
active in that many other things.
No.
But, that was it's an appointment, it's a political appointment.
Mm-hmm.
The dry
And I
cleaning.
think it meant more back then than I don't know if it meant any more, but they were much more well known then. I mean, his office was right there, right in the front of the post office, or at the side, and people saw him and knew him so much better today. I don't know I've never seen our postmaster, but I think they meant more or were much more popular then.
I think you're right.
And that was a very important building, that was built during the Depression, the WPA building. And it was a big building in Kent. It was-
I know my aunt felt very bad when they built a new post office because that was such a memory there with Leo being there so many years.
And she probably couldn't walk to the new one, it's much
No,
further.
she really couldn't. No, I would drive her there, but it just wasn't the same.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, we're here long enough, we remember this as a post office. We used
Mhm.
it, yeah. They did it when it was after, in 1970,
When the
One or
lumber company closed.
Parsons Lumber.
Yeah.
Oh, well, Parsons were cousins.
Oh, you really?
Yes. Mm, Gretchen Parsons was a cousin to all the family.
Well, one of the Parsons sons was up here, and so he's bringing us some, because Parsons is quite an old company,
Yes, yeah.
you know. Oh, that's a good question. Did your grandparents move from somewhere else where they originally, do we know when they came to Kent?
I could probably find that out in some of the literature I have, but right now I can't
Yeah,
tell you.
that's interesting.
They were in Ravenna first, but I don't know when they first came to the area.
Right. And whether they, their background was European, at some point they had moved, so they
From
had,
Germany.
from Germany, so that they probably had been here for a few generations.
Yes, I think just one back.
Okay,
They came from Germany.
okay. Anything else?
No? Very
Great.
interesting.
So,
Okay.